what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a great Monday and a great start to your work week. In this video, we're just going to continue to break down what is basically, I wouldn't even call it necessarily a pattern-changing air mass, but a cold front is basically slowly drifting south and will continue to do so. Certain areas really had a nice day today, but then certain areas had a very winter-like day. It all just kind of depended on where you are as a boundary set up, or where the cool air was, and then more average seasonal temps were. Even the areas that are south of the cold front are still very comfortable, still have dry air in place. So it's almost just like a reinforcer of cold air. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some mountain snows, and we're going to break down what looks to be a storm system that's going to be awfully close to making impacts to the eastern U.S. But it's definitely looking a lot different than it was several days ago. So that's what we're going to break down and talk about, because it's an interesting setup where this storm is definitely suppressed south but has a chance to creep north here in time. So that's what we're going to break down. If you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. There's also an opportunity for y'all to join my channel, which basically you click that tab there and it gives you a couple payment thresholds that basically support me monthly financially. I'm only going to mention that maybe once a month or so, because I don't want to be somebody who just says, oh, guys, please pay me, push that join button. It's not like that, but it is a way to support my channel financially as I continue to try to make my setup much more appealing for you guys. So thank you for the amazing support. Let's get rolling here. So what we got going on here, the cold front sitting right around here, somewhere around here. You got this piece of energy riding the cold front. It's going to make its way into areas of Kentucky and continue to make its way into West Virginia. And the higher elevations of Western Virginia actually could see a little bit of snow tonight, accumulating snow. So if you're in higher elevations of West Virginia, which is, I believe, more eastern sections right here of the Appalachian Mountains here, maybe one as much as 2 inches could fall, probably anywhere above 4,000 to 5,000 feet in these areas. Maybe 3 to 4 to 5,000 feet high, but just some clouds moving into areas of the extreme southeast. Otherwise, it looks like another nice day is setting up tomorrow, but we'll check out this piece of energy that has some moisture moving into Kentucky right now. And as it moves through overnight into the wee hours of the morning, looks like some folks, like I said, if you're in the real higher elevations of West Virginia, we'll wake up to a little bit of snowfall. Be interesting to see the pictures and what's left of any fall foliage in that area. But this is a very small piece of energy. There's not a lot with it. It's not like it's going to be a widespread, major early season snowstorm or anything, but it'll be interesting to see who gets some snow tomorrow. And honestly, this piece of energy will be on off the coast by the time you get into the evening tomorrow. At the same time, you have some lake effect moisture popping off the Great Lakes here, almost all the Great Lakes. So the first lake effect snow event will start out tomorrow evening as it cools down tomorrow. I think along the lakes right into here, Jamestown, New York, Buffalo, Erie. I think most of this, especially the closer you are to the actual lakes, will probably be rain showers, but it will be mixing with some snow tomorrow. So some first snows along the lakes here is definitely likely to happen. And obviously you get in northern areas of Michigan and Wisconsin, maybe some snow showers tomorrow evening as you're heading home or getting into your evening activities. This moves on off. Then we're watching this piece of energy right here. This is a classic setup, almost like a almost like a winter storm kind of setup, where you have low pressure piece of energy dropping down. You have high pressure on top, cold high pressure. You have a cold front that's bringing in cold air, and this thing's dropping into the Gulf of Mexico and going to take this path. And that's almost what this looks like. But obviously we're in early November. There's not enough cold air, right? But there's still, I'll show you, it's a very interesting setup as we're getting in here. But let's check out the snowfall accumulations. I think this is overdone. I don't think you're going to get 7-8 inches of snow in these areas right here in New York and Pennsylvania. But it'll be interesting to see if these bands of moisture that's coming off the Great Lakes do produce some significant snow. It's not being talked about a whole lot that I'm hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're up in these areas in Michigan. But some chances of snow is definitely possible. Even in the interior northeast, New Hampshire, Vermont, definitely some snow showers can definitely squeeze through to y'all guys overnight tomorrow night. Things like that. You start to see some flakes falling around if you guys have not already in that area. what I want to talk about is this low pressure here. As we're moving and getting past this piece of energy right here at Great Lakes, seeing some snow bands popping off here, lake effect snow bands, that continues to kind of fall apart. Well, the GFS basically has this piece of energy. There's a that really develops here, and you watch this, and then you watch this piece of energy that kind of is riding around this cold front. There's enough cold air entrenched kind of in the CAD areas to make it a pretty raw day potentially Thursday in the Carolinas. I mean, it's going to be raw and chilly, just like a winter day. But areas maybe around Boone into southwest areas of Virginia, just the higher elevations, real higher elevations in North Carolina and Virginia, could see the first snowfall of the year. And I know it's showing green into these areas, but areas of the Smokies, especially upwards to 5,500 feet to 6,000 feet, this could be falling in the form of snow. So like Kingman's Dome, sorry, let me get my words tangled up. Mount LeConte, Mount Mitchell could definitely see some more flakes. I know Mount Mitchell saw a little bit of snow earlier this weekend, I think the day before Halloween. But what's interesting here is seeing what kind of low pressure develops here as we're getting into Friday, and how, I guess, northwest this trends. You see this almost has that perfect classic winter storm track where you have low pressure that tracks across North Florida, and all you need is some cold air, right? Well, obviously it's way too early in the year to even be to consider any kind of snow in the south. This is almost the perfect setup. The reason I see this, because you have high pressure that's beginning to retreat out over the northeast, and a lot of times, sometimes when you have high pressure over the northeast, it can enforce and entrench cold air southwest into the Carolinas and Georgia. But in this case, it's not near cold enough for us to get any kind of snow in the Carolinas. But this is the track you want to see in the winter for sure. Because you have it here about 2 or 3 days out, and a lot of times it tends to trend northwest in time, leading to maybe an event, but it's obviously way too early in the year when you don't have enough cold air. But watch this system right here as you get into Friday evening. I really think Friday evening is going to be a raw day across coastal areas of Georgia, the Carolinas, and even North Florida. Because what happens here is you already have dry air in place down here, even as far south as North Georgia. Dry air mixed with rain falling, you get rain-cooled air, which means if you got rain all day and dew points are only in the 40s and 50s, then your temperatures are probably just going to be in the 50s all day. It's called wet bulb. Wet bulbing your temperature. The temperature drops as your dew points rises. Wherever they meet, that's your wet bulb temperature, and that's where your temperature is going to sit at. If moisture is falling and there's no sun coming out. That's a short and sweet way to kind of describe that. Moving forward here, this system moves off. So we'll watch this system, because if this thing trends northwest with enough cold air in place, especially into the interior areas, I'm not talking about Columbia or Charlotte, Raleigh, anything like that. But if this thing somehow trends northwest big time over the next 2 days or so, you got to watch the mountainous areas for sure of any kind of maybe local, higher elevation snow. But this is a big time storm system off the eastern coast that really gets going here. You look at the Euro, which was very, very aggressive. I actually got to say the GFS might have beat the Euro already early on. The GFS has really been holding its ground lately, especially in hurricane season. But the European kind of shows what the GFS shows. Moisture along the coast as we get into this weekend. It's a little bit later with this storm system. It has it happening, maybe a day later. But this storm gets going here, and it never really gets inland, but it gets very close. You got to watch out in Boston. Maybe just a very cold rain to get early next week, but there's still a lot of time to figure that one out. So going forward, you look at these temperatures, they continue to drop down. You get into Thursday morning. You look at Tuesday, first off, tomorrow is our last really nice day from anybody from Raleigh to Charlotte to Columbia to Atlanta to Birmingham, all the way into southern areas of Mississippi, into Louisiana and Florida, obviously, because when we get to Tuesday into Wednesday overnight, the cold front moves through and it starts to pick up speed and kind of sink south. And by the time we get into our Wednesday, high temperatures potentially only in the 40s in northern Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, northern areas of Louisiana. And this cold air is all the way into Texas. The whole northern half of Texas is very chilly, and it's starting to sink into the Carolinas. And then you get into Thursday morning. The lows isn't crazy. You got widespread frost and freezes across the interior Northeast and Ohio Valley. But then you get into Thursday, and depending on where moisture is, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. So you got highs in the 40s, so it's crazy. We got to figure this out. There's a little bit of a CAD, cold air damming situation happening into the Carolinas. Highs are showing to somehow only be in the 40s in into almost the entire state of North Carolina and the whole northern half of South Carolina. Just as you can tell, look at the 40s going all the way to Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, Georgia. So really cold day potentially Thursday. Really, really cold day. You get into Friday morning, the lows are even chillier, really far south. And then this is where we have to watch our coastal low. Can make for a very chilly day across the eastern areas of the southeast. And basically the entire eastern U.S. Sets up for a pretty chilly weekend too. As Saturday morning, a lot of folks wake up to the first frost of the year and freeze. So chilly times ahead. It's going to feel like winter here in a day or so. Depending on where you already are, it already does. But for me, like in South Carolina here where I'm located, still feels like nice fall weather out there. We'll have that for another day or so in the southern areas of the Deep South. But after that, it's very cold. So I'll keep y'all updated. Nothing too crazy going on right now. But thank y'all for the amazing support. And y'all have a great start to your week.